The finale of the FIA Karting European Championship for gearbox racers comes from Adria in Italy, the scene of last year's season opener. And in the intense Venetian heat, nobody will be able to take things easy in this bubbling cauldron of a race weekend. With both KZ and KZ2 categories reaching their climax and the Academy Trophy continuing its 2021 story, there's plenty of action on the horizon and many battles to be won. Matteo Vigano will be our guide around the Adria Karting Raceway. Flat down the home straight, flipping the throttle through turn 1 to get the ultimate driving line, then an open apex for the second corner that tightens aggressively. Once back on the power, you're approaching a tight turn 3. The exit is crucial. Cut the course and you're either penalised or compromised. Most drivers keep a tight approach to the hairpin as it's a critical overtaking point, but a fast exit on a hot lap can make a massive difference. You need to maintain speed and control through the next right-hander as the circuit carries you further on that trajectory into the braking zone for turn 6. Line up the car well and you can nip up the inside of turn 7 and gain a cheeky place. Still accelerating through 8 and then into 9 with a big stop and a tricky exit point to master. You need to be strong into turn 10 and carry a lot of curb before a gradual deceleration in the final turn. It's one of the fastest circuits in the sport, taking place on one of the hottest weekends the drivers will ever face. The Academy Trophy is looking likely to be the most open and competitive the category has ever been, with drivers gathering from all over the world to claim victory. With multiple race winners so far across the heats, the battle will be very close in the final, and nobody is certain as to who will take advantage. The stage is set for an epic showdown, with the title contest heating up. Maciej Gledizh led Alexander Bondarev away at the start of the final, whilst Ivan David and the fast-starting Riccardo Iannello put themselves into a strong position, and Renaud Franco fell back down the field to begin a tough fight back. Bondarev wasn't hesitating and took the lead from Gledizh into turn 3, and as the two duelled into the braking zone for the hairpin, David sensed his chance to claim the lead from both of them. He dived for the inside line and drew level, but didn't quite have the space to finish the move and elected to consolidate third position. After all, there was plenty of laps still to run. By the end of the lap, Gledizh was leading, and David and Iannello had both made their move to rise to second and third positions. The pole's lead was brief, however, as Ivan David picked his moment and soared ahead, having worked his way back from the 7th row of every heat during the weekend. Heading into the third lap, Gledizh decided to fight back and found the overtaking move into turn 3. But having taken so long to make his way back to the front, Ivan David wasn't prepared to give up so easily and fought back valiantly. He tried an identical move to his previous attempt, and predictably, it resulted in the same outcome. Iannello was stepping up to the plate on home soil and made his move instead, moving up to second in turn 4, a chance to score a podium in Italy too tempting to resist. It wasn't the only battle on track, as Luca Neuenschwander of Brazil and Denmark's David Walter pushed each other intensely for the place. But no matter how hard Walter forced his hand, the Brazilian wasn't prepared to concede. It was fairly inevitable that the move would occur soon, and as the Danes surged ahead, Leo Robinson behind them also moved forward. And that was just the start for the plucky Algerian. He soon made his bid for the manoeuvre on Neuenschwander, and it worked out through turn 2. That motivated the Brazilian yet further. He returned the favour within an instant. Behind them, the battle would continue between Slovenia and South Africa, as Mark Kastelic and Nicolas Roos were locked in a similar scrap. But it was game over for Argentine star Stefano Cagnolo, who joined France's Augustin Bernier on the sidelines. Gledizh was keeping his lead constant ahead of Iannello and David, with Alexander Bondarev still safe in P4. But David was now under investigation for jumping the start. If guilty, he'd receive a 3-second penalty. Neuenschwander was still up against it, this time trying to fend off from Leon Zelenko of Croatia. And into turn 9, not only did Zelenko make the move, but on the exit, he ensured that there would be no retaliation. There was one last bid to close in on Gledizh, as the home fans were hoping to see an Italian driver on the top step of the podium. Iannello was giving it everything he had. David wasn't far away, just in case something happened. The three drivers were so easily matched that they were trading fastest sector times to close up or pull clear, and it became a race of stalemate between the three young stars. It was at this point that it became apparent that David would inevitably face a penalty, as the report was already well underway, which would eventually drop the Sri Lankan to 5th position. Into the final lap, and Gleditsch had made it clear he wasn't going to make any mistakes. And as the Sauber Academy driver closed out the race for a deserving victory, there would be more trouble elsewhere. In the intensity of the midfield battle, Federico Al-Rifai and Leon Otschai would retire in the same place on turn 9 and end their chances of a strong points finish. With the Japanese fuming and unhappy at the side of the road, the marshals were desperate to clear the circuit before the leaders came through. They managed it with seconds to spare, allowing Maciej Gleditsch, the Polish youngster in the lead, to taste victory in fantastic fashion, to move to the top of the points standings with 1 round to go, and to become the first Polish driver to win a final in the FIA Karting Academy trophy in the current format. The joy was clear for all to see, and with a solid advantage heading to Sweden, there were plenty of reasons to celebrate. Riccardo Iannello claimed second at home, and David's penalty would indeed demote him behind Bondarev and Walter, with Robinson ahead of Zelenko and Neuenschwander, whilst Mark Kastelic and Romania's Darius Babiawana would complete the top 10. David would climb the podium before handing his trophy to Bondarev, Iannello would celebrate in front of his family and home crowd, and Gleditsch would savour the spoils of Poland's first Academy win.
The first few laps was very hard for me because two drivers passed me, and after I stay calm, I overtake these two drivers, and I'm looking forward, and yeah, I will do my best in Kristianstad to win the championship.
The final is so hard because I'm starting in the P7, and the first corner I am in the second position behind the Maciej, and the last is 3 laps. I'm trying to do aggressive, but I'm not going to very well. I'm finished second, and I'm really happy.
In the final, I had a great start. I was in P2, but then I made a really early move on Maciej, and then he came back on me. Then Riccardo and Jevan came past me, and then in P4 I couldn't be faster. I was just trying to catch the top 3, but it wasn't just enough.
KZ2 will be a difficult battle to the final lap, as Senna van Wallstein hopes to claim his first European title, and his opponents are hoping to close down the gap. The Italian heroes Giuseppe Palomba and Danilo Albanese have been the dominant men of the weekend so far, and coming into the final, their rivalry could upset the balance in the European Championship. From here on, anything could happen. Giuseppe Palomba led Danilo Albanese into turn 1 as the Italian pair renewed their rivalry. Senna van Wallstein had made a smooth getaway ahead of Giacomo Bellini and Paavo Tonteri, with the Dutchman looking good for the title. But there was mayhem behind as a couple of touches turned into a pile-up. Maximilian Paul, Marco Torman, Juho Valtonen, David Trevelov and Nikita Artemonov were eliminated on the spot. Slick work from the marshals ensured that the race could continue without a yellow flag period, but the 5 retirees were going no further. The duel between the Italians had ended in the Kart Republic driver Albanese's favour in the heats, and the Virolat star Palomba was in no mood to repeat the scenario. On lap 2, he defended with pure conviction, almost crashing in the effort to stay in front. Behind them, the CRG pairing of Bellini and Tonteri had passed Van Wallstein, and as the dueling leaders went into turn 6, they actually did crash into each other. Palomba continued, but Albanese was out, and suddenly Van Wallstein's dreams of the title had taken a huge hammer blow. Then Kaja Sixnelis had to dodge a pair of warring Birolats as David Levinsky and Alessio Piccini traded paint. With the CRGs first and second, Van Waalstein was looking unlikely to be able to score enough points over Polini to maintain his advantage. Polini was set for victory, and Van Waalstein was set for a long race catching Tom Terry. Hubert Petit and Arthur Carbonel were catching Van Waalstein too, and they almost managed to slide past their teammate. Petit grew tired of staying behind his teammate, and it was clear there was no love lost between the Frenchman and the Dutchman. Carbonel eventually assisted Van Waalstein by passing Petit and giving Laurens van Hoopen his chance of staying in the title fight. This didn't please Petit, who was clearly riled up. Marcus Funder ended his season off the road to join an ever-growing list of spectators. But Giacomo Polini was living out a fairy tale. Not even his teammate Paavo Tonteri could keep up, and it was looking like this could finally be Polini's first FIA crown after several near misses. Behind them, Van Hoopen and Petit were still at each other's throats, and the Dutchman was currently in front, but he needed to make more progress. Staying behind his rivals up ahead wouldn't be enough to win the European title. And he certainly didn't want to spend his race defending instead of attacking, as the season finale turned out to be a long race for Van Hoopen. For whatever reason, he just couldn't find the pace to pull away, a fact that Petit capitalised on with ruthless efficiency on lap 11. Behind them at this point was Palomba, who after his contact with Albanese was hoping for a miracle to save his race. 2 years after his last World Championship title in OK, Lorenzo Travasanuto was now getting into the swing of gearbox racing, as the Paralin driver was moving through the field, smoothly and swiftly. Carbonel was soon caught again by Petit, who clearly wasn't feeling a team player vibe. He had sensed the podium finish might be possible, and so he stormed ahead of his CPB Sport teammate. But as Van Hoopen struggled for grip, he would then lose out to Travasanuto, and it looked like the former OK driver's championship hopes were slowly dying out. Travasanuto wasn't done yet, as he too managed to overtake Carbonel in the closing stages. But with only a couple of laps to go, the only way for Van Waalstein to win the European Championship was to catch and pass Tonteri. Catching was one thing, passing was quite another. On the final lap, he knew he had one last chance, and a dive up the inside would be a huge gamble. He took his chance and just hit the brake pedal a split second too late, and as he and Tonteri drifted wide, Petit and Travasanuto sailed by. It was over. So as Van Waalstein accepted defeat, Giacomo Polini became the 6th Italian to win the KZ2 European Championship, and in flamboyant fashion. 3rd in the KZ2 Super Cup last year, 2nd in the European Championship 3 years ago. But now at last, he was the winner, and a very popular one too, as his rivals queued up to congratulate him, including Van Waalstein, a very worthy adversary. Petit and Travasanuto returned to the FIA karting podium ahead of Carbonel, Van Waalstein and Tonteri. Van Hoopen held off a disappointed Palomba, and Romania's Daniel Vazil would finish ahead of Switzerland's Samuel Louye for the Tony Kart factory team. It was a particularly happy podium. Travasanuto had scored his first KZ2 success, Petit was back to his formidable best, and Polini was a champion at last.
I don't start so good. I recover my position, and then Albanese and Palomba crashes. They help to win my race and the championship. I'm really happy for this championship, and in three weeks we try to win also the International Super Cup.
Yeah, the weekend started very well with a good quali. It was also good. I make a good position to be on the front for the final. I was P5 on the first lap. After, I was a really good speed. I have a good feeling with my chassis, with my engine, so I can come back on the front and finish P2 on the last lap. So I'm very happy.
At the beginning, I thought I couldn't catch up and have I knew we had the pace, but I didn't believe we could get such a good result. Then of course, luck plays also a role into it. We went from 17th to 3rd in the finals. Honestly, yeah, I must say the speed was amazing and everything worked really well.
For us, this gives the team a huge satisfaction. Particularly in this race, we prepared very well. Let's also say performance was good from the start, and so we were pretty confident for the race as a result in the final. The KZ form book has completely changed since Wackersdorf. Riccardo Longhi is near the back of the field, Emilion Denner is frustrated, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli is making his KZ debut and is immediately fast. Matteo Vigano and Stan Pex have emerged as potential European champions after amazing speed and pace through the weekend, and CRG have made massive gains with Paolo Ippolito and Jeremy Iglesias. The only thing for certain is that the championship showdown will be a nail-biting spectacle. In a dramatic start, Matteo Vigano and Victor Gustafsson banged wheels, allowing Paolo Ippolito clear passage to the lead of the race. Pedro Hiltbrand placed his kart in 3rd around the outside of turn 2, whilst sadly Mirko Tosolini and Lorenzo Camplese were spat off the circuit. Camplese continued, Tosolini did not. Stan Pex and Adrien Renaudin followed the top 4 drivers as championship contender Emilion Denner was boxed in. But he was ahead of Riccardo Longhi and Vigano wasn't leading, so for now he was safe and still looking good to become European champion. But Hiltbrand had a chance to become champion too, and when a gap emerged beside his teammate, he made his move. Vigano resisted, and so Hiltbrand tried a classic undercut. Despite a valiant effort, Vigano couldn't keep him back, and the Spaniard was ahead, with Vigano struggling for pace. Gustafsson was ready to line him up, and the man who won here last year in KZ2 put on an excellent display. There was nothing Vigano could do to thwart his challenge. Stan Pex was alongside too, and it took all his determination to stay in front. Renaudin and reigning world champion Jeremy Iglesias were hunting them both down, so nobody could afford a single mistake. The jostling of the pack almost cost Denner a position to Simo Puhaka, and whilst it was no time to panic, he certainly couldn't afford to take things easy. Into lap 4, and with a chance to win the title still within Stan Pex's grasp, he too was eager to take chances and hurled the Kart Republic past Vigano. For the 3rd year running, it looked as though Vigano would be denied. Renaudin added insult to injury later in the lap, but Iglesias and Denner would have to wait their turn as far as Vigano was concerned. But as soon as the Leclerc chassis drifted slightly wide, Iglesias didn't need asking twice. Frustratingly, Denner couldn't pass just yet, and he needed to. The man behind him was now Longhi, his main opposition. He needed to take a chance, diving up the inside and then chopping across Vigano on the next left. It was a great move, but it gave Longhi the overtake as well. Marijn Kramers was acting as Longhi's wingman, and he added to Vigano's woes with a strong run into the first corner. He couldn't win the title today, but his team manager could, so it was a valiant team effort. The tactics then became clear: give Longhi space to get away. This didn't exactly please the Leclerc by Lennox driver, who was now in danger of losing another place. This time to Noah Milel, and into turn 6, he was passed. The nightmare just continued on, as Puhaka then made an easy sweep ahead into turn 1. Douglas Lundberg then decided to grab another place into turn 2, and as the door remained open, European OK champion Andrea Kimi Antonelli made a bid, but Francesco Salenta passed him instead. Even so, it wasn't a bad effort from the youngest man in the field. Denner and Longhi were now together, battling for the title, hoping their rivals wouldn't outscore them and keeping their duel clean, fair, but firm. Gustafsson was now under pressure from Pex, and into the first corner, the deed was done. If things went his way, Pex could win the title, driving in KZ in his own team's colours for the first time. Was this the year that Stan would finally emulate his brother Jorrit? Denner versus Longhi continued, a game of patience and control. Longhi thought his chances were over after qualifying near the back of the grid, but Longhi never gives up. Up ahead, Ippolito was looking good for his first win in an FIA final after his incredible perseverance with CRG. The team finally looked like it would return to winning ways. His advantage over Hiltbrand and Pex was staying fairly constant. The young Italian was on course for the greatest result of his career so far. Second was still up for debate, and both Pedro Hiltbrand and Stan Pex could still mathematically become European champion. But alas, the leaders were behind them, and they would need a little bit of luck from the midfield race behind them to unfold in their favour. For the talented young German Louis Speck, it had been a tough but character-building year. But his retirement was nowhere near as spectacular as the next two. Emilion Denner was out after an incident on track, and his title hopes were shattered. It was all too much for the popular Frenchman. Then dramatically, Stan Pex went for Hiltbrand, and it failed. He too was out of the race and out of the championship. Denner and Pex's demise had put Longhi back in the lead, and all he had to do was finish to become champion. So as Denner and Pex walked away in disbelief, a heartwarming story was written up ahead, as Paolo Ippolito was cruising home to a worthy victory. The Leclerc by Lennox teammates would come close to winning the title themselves, but not quite close enough. For CRG and Ippolito, it was a fantastic win at home, and a return to the glory days of Paolo Di Conto, Jorrit Pex and Max Verstappen, after many people had doubted their ability to win again. But down in P6, the Birolart team manager Riccardo Longhi had become European champion, the first Italian to do so for 4 years. Triumph for Longhi, heartbreak for Denner. Behind Ippolito, Hiltbrand and Gustafsson on the podium, Renaudin and Iglesias would lead home Longhi, with Francesco Celenta in 7th ahead of Noah Milel, Andrea Kimi Antonelli on his KZ debut, and Simo Puhaka. Gustafsson had returned to the podium a year on from his KZ2 win, Hiltbrand had shown his hand for a world title effort, and Ippolito had returned CRG to the top step of the rostrum.
Well, since the free practice we were quite fast. Even my teammates, as we see on the qualifying practice, while Matteo was in the top 5, also Victor. I struggled a bit more than them into the heats from the qualifying, because on the free practice I was quite fast, but you know, then the final, let's be honest, Paolo was a bit faster than me, and I tried my best, but at the end I will push, and we are in a good moment, I'm in a good moment, but you never know, but we will push so hard.
Not easy to win this race. We start in the beginning of this weekend with a few problems, but with my team we worked really hard, and we arrived to achieve this victory. I'm really happy about that. We are sure that we have the potential to do another race similar or like this one. So we will see in 3 weeks what will happen.
It has been a very difficult weekend and amazing, of course. Congratulations to all parts of the team. We are working very hard, improved in every session. So we try to do our best and keep this good way for us.
It's incredible for me, no? It's my dream. The weekend for me started very bad because in qualifying I had a very big problem with the tires. I think I lost the championship, no? But all the team, my teammate Marin this week helped me too much. In the final, when I start the race, I think only push. I want to arrive in the front. I made a good start. I overtake so many drivers. When I arrive behind Denner, okay, now it's my moment. When I arrive last lap, I look my team,
You are first, you are first. Now I'm European champion in KZ. I won't arrive in Kristianstad for fight for the world champion.
Winning a European Championship is an incredible reward after a season-long battle, and standing on the top step of the podium as an Academy Trophy winner takes great courage and passion. But if you thought the drivers could rest easy and celebrate the moment, you'd be wrong. In just 3 weeks' time, the next challenge will be upon us as we head to Kristianstad in Sweden, as 3 amazing drivers will claim the KZ2 International Super Cup, the FIA Karting Academy Trophy title, and the KZ World Championship. Join us then as the drivers quest to join the Karting Hall of Fame.